call this 2024 annual meeting to order. The first part of our meeting, as usual, will be a business meeting. The business portion, including a few lines from the treasurer, the clerk's report, and the president's report. We'll have the board members, the re-election and election of new members, an open discussion, a break for refreshments, and then our guest speaker, Marty Klein. He's one of our veteran board members, and he'll be sharing his extensive knowledge of mushroom foraging and other things.
Close.
He also had, he did bring in a few of his photos there,
Well, my artwork, yeah.
the artwork on the side.
No worries.
They're really quick.
I'm not sensitive.
Opening the meeting, I introduced the board, the treasurer's report. The treasurer will summarize. She's not here tonight, so I have just basic numbers for her. And Molly's kind enough to do the clerk's report. Our clerk is not here either. So we'll have the members introduce themselves.
Marty Klein. Michael Cologne.
Brianna Graham.
John Bader.
Diane McLean.
Molly Goodwin.
Tom Lotzenheiser.
Mary Lou Dodge. Katie Carroll.
And Fred Anderson is on Zoom. Thanks, Fred. Good to see you, Fred. The treasurer had sent in just a few lines from her report, including the total income for 2023 was $27,124. Expenses were $19,302, with a net gain of $11,943. Assets are $382, with no liabilities. That's even better. I'm here to tell you everything that we've done. Yeah, thank you. Could I ask if someone would like to make a motion to accept the treasurer's minor report?
Motion.
Well, it has to be from the floor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. And a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
The clerk's report, Molly will be reading last year's annual meeting report.
So this is from March 7th, 2023. And we had 13 attendees from the board last year. And we had 30 guests, 10 on Zoom. Diane opened the meeting at 7:04 and the board members introduced themselves. We thanked the board, the volunteers and the property monitors, and gave a brief description of how the meeting will be led. There were some slides for the treasurer's report that gave information about the income and expenses for 2022. A motion was made from the floor to accept the report, seconded by the floor, and approved by the floor. The clerk's report was read by Molly last year from the last annual meeting, and the floor motion for acceptance, seconded and approved. Diane read the president's report, which included the summary of projects and activities of 2022, spoke about the plant sales, 40th anniversary celebrations, Manhan Meanders e-newsletter, and all the community events that PCT participated in. Garrett read the press release from the Ramsey parcel, the old bed, to cap off the 40th anniversary of PCT. Diane then talked about PCT's goals for 2023, including monitoring the Sierra Vista project, more meetings of the Easthampton Collaborative, continued scholarships for high school students, further acquisitions, and increasing our outreach. A motion was made from the floor for acceptance of the president's report, seconded by the floor and approved. We did board member re-elections. The board nominated Diane McLean for president, John Bader for vice president, Don Ackley for clerk, Fred Anderson, Michael Carone, Marty Klein, Bill Burgart, and Kayla Champagne were also elected by the floor for board members. We had an open discussion, some of which included asking about requirements for being a board member and showed interest in PCT. We made a presentation to John, who was our outgoing president. Marty presented kind of the chainsaw lamp for his many years of being PCT president. John had and continues to work tirelessly, physically and mentally for over 20 years. John thanked us and spoke about how long he was president and how proud he is of all PCT has accomplished. We also had a presentation to Shirley Smith. We had signed a map that will be added to a framed art print from Marty. Shirley retired from the board after spending many years in many roles for PCT. After a brief refreshment break, Marty introduced Wayne Feigen, the former city planner for the city of Northampton. Wayne worked for Northampton for 33 years and had so many interesting projects, including golf course rehabilitation, that he saw come to fruition. Wayne pointed out that open space does not need to equal inflated building costs. Cities need to come up with planning goals and action plans. Adjournment was motioned for 9:30. All in favor, respectfully submitted by John Ackley.
Thanks, Molly. Could I get a motion from the floor to accept the clerk's report? A second? All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thanks. For the president's report, we had some really, I think, really interesting things going on. And this is the first, I call it gifts, acquisitions, and preservation of land. We're in the process of acquiring a gift of land, about a 10-acre parcel on the Manhan River. That's in the works. And it seems that this has been the theme for this last year and this year. People are gifting us parcels of land. Luckily, some of them, most of them are on the Manhan, which is our main focus. We're also in the process of acquiring a gift of land, which will enable us to connect a PCT property, which would be really, that would be great. Another gift. And our first request was established in 2023. So all those things that we work really hard to try to acquire properties. And most of the properties are, these properties in particular, won't have trails on them. They'll just be saving properties. These gifts, along with the gift of about 10 acres, approximately 10 acres, which was finalized and acquired by PCT last year, is the old bed, which is situated along the Manhan River again. As you can see, one of our major focus areas is the protection of the Manhan River. If you take a look at it from a bird's point of view, it does meander through many cities and towns and deserves our protection. I just love looking at like the map of the Manhan because it goes like crazy. Continuing our mission to protect our future, we've established the PCT Land Protection Committee, enabling us to focus on possible acquisitions, spending more time doing that. We have formed a maintenance committee which focuses on regular maintenance and proactive work, which of course John is heading. I'd like to also take a minute to thank and recognize our property specialist, Kevin Mulligan, for all the work he's done to help the PCT. I didn't see Kevin. Thanks, Kevin, very much. Fundraising, grants, and donations. As you know, we hold 2 plant sales, one in the spring and one in the fall. We have the dates for our spring plant sales, May 18th, ring date, May 25th. The fall plant sale is September 28th, rain date October 5th rather. They will be held at City Hall. And these are our best outreach events. The Memorial Bench fundraiser, we have a minimum of 8 benches, I think we have more than that, in place so far. They're located in strategic spots so one can rest and truly enjoy Easthampton's great attributes. In our humble opinion, it's nature. It's a great way to memorialize and honor someone or a group. You can go to our website, contact either me or Garrett if you are interested in a bench. Sue Waltz has her now pretty famous National Monarch Pond calendar. The sales of that were donated to the PCT. Thank you, Sue. There's always a huge demand for Sue's calendars, so this year she printed additional calendars, which flew off her kitchen counter and to the hand of people. She sends them across the country. An online shop fundraising project was spearheaded by Bree Grant, featuring tees, t-shirts, sweatshirts, and hats. It was a short-term project that may be held again this year. We'll reach out to our members and community when we have this in place. Thank you. We have created a fundraising committee, so be on the lookout for our fun and fundraising. Public relations and outreach. We continue to spend a lot of time in the monitoring of the proposed Sierra Vista Commons development at the former Tasty Top site. We have submitted numerous letters and maps to the Easthampton Planning Department and the Easthampton Conservation Commission, as well as attended their meetings. We've also met with representatives to discuss this. So we continue to be active in that. PCT, we have a PCT scholarship for a high school grad interested in the environment. We've arranged with Kestrel Land Trust to stage a joint field trip for the Mass Land Trust Coalition. This is obviously a statewide coalition, and the members of it will be coming from everywhere in Massachusetts to Easthampton. It was the first time that I know of. This will be done in April. This the statewide organization will bring people to our trails. So we'll be going through the Old Pascommuck as well as the Newmont Town North.
Yeah, which
So-
means we've got a big work Friday coming up that Old Pascommuck.
So anybody interested, I think we have the date, March 24th. So just putting it out there. More hands. Property maintenance, the maintenance of our trails. We had multiple work parties to do regular maintenance and improve the trails. We've had, this year we've had multiple erosion issues due to the heavy rainfall, and we're keeping a close eye on that. There are many down trees this year. Some we could manage ourselves, and a few that required help to clear. One of our many larger maintenance jobs was to figure out how to reroute a trail after a large tree fell along the trail. It's actually in the trail, but the root ball was from the floor to at least here. It was very large, and there was no way to cut it. So you just have to use your imagination on those. There's of course ongoing infrastructure repairs of bog bridges, stairs, and maintenance of all our trails. The goals and projects for 2024 are obviously to continue monitoring the Sierra Vista Commons Tasty Top development site. We continue to be involved in the Easthampton Land Protection Collaborative. This is a group which includes members from PCT, Kestrel Land Trust, Fish and Wildlife, and the City of Easthampton. And we meet quarterly. It's a unique group. Most towns or cities don't have this coordination of different entities, so we're really happy to have that. We will create and install new signages, land protection sites that are now being vetted. We currently have 2 properties in our site for conservation and protection. which is it's really great that people are approaching us for that. We continue to supply scholarship to a high school grad or plant sales, and at least one, we're trying for 2 newsletters this year. We continue to monitor and maintain our PCT properties. Our invitation is open to anyone to join us in pruning, raking, weeding, and monitoring trails. If you'd like to volunteer, please email me or me, and by the website, you can always sign up there as well. We continue to be involved in the Upper Manhan River Watershed Committee. They had just started a new committee for the Upper Manhan River, and luckily they've included us in that. We are the Lower Manhan, but there's more of a push for protecting the Manhan, which is very exciting for us. So now we come to the board member re-election and election of new members. The board members who are up for re-election are those whose terms are ending and wish to remain. And we'll look to the board to approve that. We would like to nominate as new board members. We have 2 members that signed on with us early last year. So at our meeting here, the annual meeting, we officially bring them into the fold. So we'd like to nominate as new board members Bree Grant and Katie Harold. Would somebody from the floor motion?
Move the nomination.
Thank you. Do I have a second
I'm sorry.
to approve that? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Welcome, Katie. They've already done a real lot to help us. Katie has spearheaded the volunteers to coordinate that, and Bree has, as I said before, she started the fundraising with t-shirts, and it was a spot shop, and she's been very involved in helping us out in a lot of different ways. We appreciate it. We'd like to, at this point, to re-elect the following members for another 3-year term. Mary Lou Dodge, Tom Lausenheiser, and Rachel Toulouskin, who is not here with us. She's our treasurer. Could I get a nomination from the floor? There's a nomination, a second? We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Okay. I'd like to ask the nominating committee and the floor if they have suggestions for new board members and whether anyone from the floor wishes to be nominated. So I think Katie has someone that she would like to nominate.
I would like to nominate Alan Clark.
Great. So we'll,
I'd like to second that.
we have a second. Well, we'll get a first. From the floor, could I get a motion to nominate Alan Clark? We have one. And a second? Okay. Thank you. So I'm going to do that as quickly as I could. Oh, all in favor? Thank you. All in favor for nominating Alan?
Aye.
Thank you. We had a surprise for Dawn, but Dawn's not here, so we'll have to wait for that. So we have a surprise for Dawn. Dawn Ackley, who is our clerk. She's been with the PCT for at least, I would say 25, there were a lot of years. She's been great. She's helped out in so many ways. She's been our point person. I don't think we could do the plant sales, and I don't know how we're gonna do it without her. She's given me permission to let everybody know that her position will be open in a few months. She's taking off for the high seas, at least that's her plan. So we just want to wish her well. She wasn't able to make it to the meeting tonight, but she's been a real a very integral part of the PCT. So if and when she leaves, we'll miss her terribly. So don't tell Dawn, but we picked up a journal for her, so when she's on the boat, she can write down all her adventures. Take a snapshot, let us know where she is. So next we'll break for refreshments, but our guest speaker again is Marty Klein, a forager of mushrooms who has a lifelong and deep relationship with nature. He's also an accomplished photographer and is an integral part of multiple land protection initiatives. So we can shake hands after. So we can take a break, and then Marty will, oh, I went right over the open discussion. If I read my notes, it would be easier. I'd like to open it for questions, suggestions. We're always open to suggestions, volunteers, special business, anything that you'd like us to focus on? Yes.
Just a clarification of the Upper Manhan, is it a consortium or
Yes.
who is that and what do they do?
They're just putting it into place. What their focus is on the Upper Manhan. They're basically, it'll be like the first or second meeting that they're doing. It's a consortium of groups that are in that area. So, yes.
Where does the upper start versus the lower?
That is a very good question, but Garrett might have the, did you raise your hand, Garrett?
Yeah, having just looked at the map, it's basically almost Easthampton, but not quite. So it's Westhampton, Southampton, and up into the hills.
Yeah, and it's like I said, I love looking at the map because it goes like this, and then down, and it goes through so many different cities and towns, and it's a treasure. So we're really happy for that. Was there a question back there?
I think the group is primarily convened by the Natural Resource Conservation Service for the purposes of recruiting primarily farmers to enroll their lands in NRCS programs for water quality benefits. The Manhan is impaired for bacteria and water chestnut, and so it's focusing on those issues.
And the Natural Resource Conservation, those are the feds?
Yeah.
Okay.
USDA.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sure.
I don't want to open a huge controversial subject here, but while we're gathered, I just am curious, how strongly do people feel about the presence of dogs on Pascommuck properties? Dogs, dog walking. Is dog walking like a thumbs up or a thumbs down for just the general sense of the floor?
Thumbs up.
I see some, so it's split, is what I'm seeing from
It
here.
also depends on the property, because we allow dogs on some of the properties, but a lot of them, such as Old Trolley Line, they're not allowed because of the rules for a daycare. So,
Right.
Yes.
there are certain properties where dogs are allowed, and certain properties, our current policy is that dogs are not allowed. And we're trying to navigate that in that we've been receiving some feedback, some comments regarding conflicts between dog users and non-dog. Conflicts between dog walkers and non-dog walkers. And as a conservation organization, we don't necessarily feel like our role is providing dog parks in town, but really more to benefit ecological value. So we're just trying to explore this tension and come up with some reasonable compromise, I think. Thank you.
Roger?
And I don't have a dog, I take that up front. And since I'm now a retired guy for a number of years, I spend a lot of time walking a lot of the local trails, Pascommuck and Mount Tom, and Arcadia and beyond. And one thing I noticed is that there's, in my just subjective viewing, there's more wildlife in the trails that do not allow dogs. And I think that makes sense to me, that the dogs smell and sound and everything else would deter wildlife. And since the mission of the trust is, preservation of the land and wildlife and creating wildlife corridors and all that, it makes sense to me that the majority of the trails would not allow dogs, just, leashed or not, just because their presence, the impact it has on the wildlife. And I've seen some really nice signs on places that don't allow dogs that explain it quite briefly and well, and also then list on the same sign where you can bring your dog. I think that's how it sounds.
Thanks, Roger.
Did you have it?
I have a dog. My question is, does anyone know the status of the proposed dog park in Easthampton?
They don't have a site at this time.
Can't hear a word you're saying. Yeah, okay, so somebody had talked to me about a site further toward Northampton.
Can you repeat the question from
The question was, what is the status of the city's plans to create a dog park? And so far as we know, they are stalled.
Yeah, I know a little bit. There is an active committee that's been trying to locate a place for a while, and they were pushing to have something at Nonotuck Park, and the Park and Recreation Department didn't like that spot. So they are trying to find a new location. But it is tough because I have a dog, and it, where do you walk it? Everybody shift to Northampton because they have one. It is tough in Easthampton where to walk a dog.
on the streets?
Well,
I walk dogs all day long.
We go down to the old Fanny Stebbins area a lot, Long Meadow, and I think they're a pretty good example where it's always been a place where the local people walk their dogs, but it's not overwhelmed like the Northampton Dog Park is. You wait a lot of dogs, you just walk, you hike, you see some people with dogs, without, and at that level, I think everybody gets along just fine, and probably there's really not likely to be, what?
You got bit last year.
Oh. Evil dog, but barring that, it seems to work fine, and it probably doesn't have any big impacts on the what you might see. We go down there mainly to watch birds, and it's still quite satisfactory from that point of view. I think it's all about the level of dog walking.
Right, but it's very hard to set a policy around a certain level of dog.
Yeah, that's true. But
If you spread it out,
If it's
though,
not
maybe it
zero.
would be,
Yeah, so I think it's better to have dog walking at low levels in a lot of places rather than at a high level in a few places.
I'm not sure the
Right.
scientific literature would support that.
I didn't say that.
Yeah.
I just said, I think,
As a back there.
Yeah, as a dog owner in Easthampton who lives very close to Montauk Park, I can say that the dog walking is excellent with respectful dogs. I echo that having a level of dogs in a zone is probably not enforceable, but desirable. I think that as far as the trust concerns go, if there's a viable conservation motivated reason to keep dogs out of a space, I think that that is an enforceable and valid basis for not allowing a dog in the space, as long as there are alternatives. And again, as an Easthampton resident with a small dog who can sometimes walk on the street but really needs to run.
yeah, you want dogs all day long.
Yeah, but she's got to run. And I know that many other dogs have that same. Well, that's not an option for me. So I think that there are options, and I think that if there, I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself now, but where there's a valid conservation reason to keep dogs out of a property, I can support that, and I will echo the gentleman up front that when those reasons are made clear, that's an easy thing to respect.
Thank you.
Montauk Park is great, dogs, getting dogs in there.
People understood what
Yeah.
the purpose was, and as Roger pointed out, there was really good signage, and it was clear for everybody. I think most people,
Yeah. Right there.
From my understanding, from speaking with some monitors of our properties, it's a problem with all the poop bags that get left. And it's not fair to the monitor of the property to have to carry out 20-something bags of poop on a week to clean up. And of course, we have respectful dog owners, but these properties are not for the purpose of that. I do love dogs. I'm happy when I see leashed dogs in there. But I do think we need to consider the poop as a problem.
And it is
Yeah.
serious, talk about E. coli, bacteria levels loading in Manhattan. Like, nothing for dog food for contributing to that issue.
One of our properties where there's a lot of dog walkers is our Dwyer property in Terraskew. And there's a lot of people that just don't care to leash their dogs. They want to let them run free. And every time I go there, practically, I run into loose dogs. And the owners are either indignant that I say, this is a conservation area, there's a city law, there's a state law, you have to leash your dog. And some people are nice and some people are not so nice. So it's a real conundrum for us because the Dwyer property goes along the Manhattan River, which is a rich ecological corridor. And it's just not helping the wildlife there to have these dogs running loose all the time. So, it's a tricky issue.
Unleashed dogs are also a big problem on the Mutterfield property. I live near there and I see it all the time. And I've gone over early on when it first started. And as he said, people get indignant when you tell them that they should be unleashed. So I just stopped doing it, but it's continuing.
And it is a city law that you have to have your dog on a leash. Was there another question, Doc?
Probably a redundant observation at
That's
this point, but my family abuts the Mount Tom property, and I have been surprised by the number of unleashed dogs proportionally there. I love dogs myself. We don't have one, but I have a child that's sensitive, and so when dogs run up on her, she's one of those kids that will get really frightened. And it's one of the reasons why we don't really walk the trail. So for me, the unleashed dog tension is what is problematic on that property.
Thank you.
Yeah, really appreciate your input. It'll be very helpful.
It sounded like there was someone that said, I couldn't hear very sounded that there was like at least one person maybe that is curtailing their walking on properties due to the presence of unleashed dogs or dogs. Is that true?
Yes.
Could we get a show of hands, perhaps? Is there just one, or is there 7 or 8? Or that would be good information.
Fred is asking if we could get a show of hands of people who are aware of folks who don't come to our properties because they are scared of dogs.
I've had a few people tell me when I'm working down in Weathersfield, it is a problem area there. I haven't noticed it as much as Wire, but.
Find it a discouragement to our concept.
Are you discouraged by the presence of dogs on Pascommuck properties?
Without leashes.
Or do you know people who are?
It really comes down depending on the dog owners, and following the rules about which properties we allow on. And there are a fair amount of dog owners who can pretty much, flop the law and get in your face, and it can be frustrating.
Yeah, good, thank you. Thank you very much. It's what we're working on that issue. But I wanted to take this time to thank all our volunteers, our members, for your support, not only financial, which is very helpful. When we get these gifts of land, we still have to expend a bit of money, $6,000 to $10,000 usually, on each piece for the title search and all the fees that go along with it. So even though they're a gift, they still cost a bit, but we're still saving land in Easthampton. So that's I think that's all of our goals, and we really appreciate the support that everybody has given to the PCT, because it feels really good when you get a property. That last one that we got, it's beautiful. So thank you.